Welcome to the Tough Decisions Network for Entrepreneurs. I'm Dennae Handford, and my wife, Dennae, and I interview successful people sharing stories behind tough decisions that they've had to make along their journey as an entrepreneur. On the podcast with us today is Austin Netzley. Austin, welcome to the podcast.
Dan, Dennae, thank you for having me. Excited to be here. Excited to hopefully give a lot of value here.
We want you to start us off and just tell us and our audience a little bit about yourself and your background and where your focus is right now as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, so I run a company called 2X, and what we do is work with small business owners and entrepreneurs, typically 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs, to help them really make their business a little bit simpler. This entrepreneurship thing is pretty tough. I've learned that myself. I'm now in my 4th business, and I knew that there had to be a better way. And instead of just being on this constant hamster wheel, always ending up back at the same position, working a ton of hours, yet not keeping a lot of profit, I knew there had to be a better way. So I really went on a journey to figure out what that better way is, and now we help people through that. So we've got a hands-on one-on-one program to work people through, helping them create a more simple, more systematic business that can run without them so that they can start to scale and actually use the business as a tool that it is. Because entrepreneurship is a pretty awesome tool if we use it right. It's a tool for an insane amount of wealth if you can learn how to do that. It's a tool for freedom and all of the opportunities that you could ever imagine. But most small business owners, as you guys know, just don't know what those things are that they need to put into their business so that they can actually get what they really started in business to begin with. So that's what we help people do, is help them systemize and scale their business.
It sounds to me like you have quite the track record as an entrepreneur, especially with doing what you're doing now. And so I'm sure that you have what I call a sore thumb tough decision, where it's a tough decision that you've had to make along your journey as an entrepreneur, and you can kind of point to it almost to an instant. You're probably thinking about it right now of a decision that you made that did not go so well, but you're glad you went through it because you learned lots of lessons through it. I want to dive into some of those lessons with you too.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that first decision that comes to mind is basically doing a partnership without the paperwork in place, just relying on trust and putting in an insane amount of work for this quote unquote partner who then basically did not pay up his portion of the money. What we did is basically a partnership that was somewhat based on results. So it was money up front plus results. And that's where tens of thousands of dollars were. And we ended up getting over $15,000 less than we actually should have been paid based on the agreement that we had. And I didn't have the paperwork in place. Again, we did this insane amount of effort that we learned months afterwards that we were going to get paid way less. So this put us in a tough cash position at the time of the business. It definitely stressed me out. And so many starting entrepreneurs go through some major cash issues. And I definitely went through that, partly because of this experience with this quote unquote partner.
And was this a business partner, or was this like an agreement that you were going to be providing services for this group, or what kind of situation was it?
Yeah, it was the latter. So it was an agreement where we were going to provide services for this group of individuals, and specifically this one brand. And things, we worked through the process. They had some challenges from their end to make the process actually be way more work on our end. And then at the end, since they were the ones receiving the money, they were in the position to say, hey, we're not going to pay you all that money that we agreed to. And there's nothing I could do. I could take them to court and just pay a lot of money and extend this very stressful situation and end up, with a lot less. I could get nothing. Or I could ultimately say, hey, give me the $15,000 less and let me get on with this. And I was asking a lot of my mentors about how to handle this situation. And they said, A, never go into business with somebody that you don't trust. B, never do some type of even decent partnership that doesn't have the proper legal paperwork to back it up. And C, do your best to get out of this situation as quickly as possible. It's well worth the $15,000 plus lesson to get this stress out of your life. And that's what I didn't want to hear, but I needed to hear. And I just got it out, took the lower payment and just moved on from them.
Well, and I think if you point back to this situation that you went through, it probably saved you hundreds of thousands of dollars in the future of bad decisions that you might have made moving forward if you didn't have contracts in place. So to be able to
Absolutely.
go through that and only lose 15 and to learn that lesson, earlier on to make sure that you put those in place for the future so it doesn't ever happen again.
That's exactly it. But here's the main lesson, actually, which was indirect, is with service-based businesses, and at the time it was a very, very much service-based business. Even now what we're doing with consulting, it's very much a service-based business. What we have to do is 100% of the time, only work with people that we like. And I had a service-based business before, like I said, and we would just take anybody that was like gonna, whip out their credit card for us. Not anymore. Like we will very confidently and very happily turn away people that we don't really want to work with. So if you have a service-based business, the main lesson, even beyond the signing agreements and getting all the legal paperwork, is just having a good people rule. Meaning you only work with people that are really, really quality people that you align values with, that you fully trust. This is clients, this is vendors, this is employees. Really having that as a rule is worth millions of dollars and a lot better sleep. I can tell you that.
Austin, do you set up your relationships now with, or your contracts with, say, an out clause or a way for you to get out of that if you find yourself working with someone or a group that you don't like?
Absolutely. That's a great add. We do that. We do that with vendors that we use. We even do that with our clients. We give them an out to say, hey, if things aren't going well on our end, we're going to ask to separate. If things aren't going well on your end, you can just totally tell us that and we'll separate. But giving people an out is a very good thing to do. But since we follow the good people rule up front, like we never have to follow that. But it's very much a good idea to have that in place.
Well, I think it's good on both sides because you never want to be taking money from somebody if you realize that they are not liking you, at the same time. So it's a two-way street.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the worst thing that you can do for yourself and for them, you're exactly right, Dan, is to let somebody that, isn't really going to have a good experience together into your program or opportunity or service. So it's very important.
So let's shift here a little bit and talk about a tough decision that you've had to make as an entrepreneur that had a really good and positive outcome and some of the lessons that you learned through that.
There's been something that I've done a number of times in my life, and it's around just literally cutting out people in my life. And this is a very, very, very tough thing to do. But we all know family members, best friends, coworkers, business contacts, other people that we're around day in, day out that are actually holding us back. And being able to have a conversation with them and say, hey, I'm going in a different direction with my life and we're just going to have to stop hanging out or stop being friends or reduce our time together or whatever it is one of the single toughest things to do. But I've done that a number of times in my life, and that's always led me to the next level. The first time I did it, I was living in Jacksonville, Florida. I had started my first business. I had these dreams of, taking my business to 7 figures in the next 12 months. And two of my best friends, we were just partying, and they were just always complaining, and they were super happy with making $30,000 to $40,000 a year and being on the beach a lot. And that's super cool, totally awesome, but that's not what I wanted to do. And I finally, after a stressful night, where they were complaining and just drama, I just brought them over. I sat them down on my couch and I said, hey, I'm going in a different direction with my life and we can't hang out anymore. And as soon as they walked out the door, oh my gosh, it was like the clouds parted. This weight was off my shoulders. I felt like a new person. And I had this weight that was holding me back, just gone and released. And it's so hard to have that decision. But as soon as I did, I was off to the next level. Your network is your net worth. Your environment creates who you become. All these quotes and things that you've heard before are so, so true. And one of the toughest things is to make tough decisions around who you hang out with, both in business and personally. But I don't know much of anything that makes a bigger impact.
Well, and I think that same concept applies with people that are working for you as well, because there are times when you hire somebody because you need somebody right away. Then you find out that, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months down the road that they really just are not a good fit for you and your values and your business. And so you need to separate. And a lot of times it's hard. But when you make that decision, I can feel that same feeling that you're talking about when you let that person go and they walk out. You're like, whew, this big, huge like release just happened, you know?
Yeah. And the thing is, it's usually like a very good decision from their end as well. Right. And being able to be the one that drives that, usually they'll come back, whether it be in business specifically or in personal, and they'll come back as a better person or at least appreciative of the decision. Like I've never had it come full circle to where like it was a negative thing actually, which is kind of crazy. But we talk about some different correlations with success. And one of those top correlations that we see day in and day out is just an entrepreneur's ability and comfortability to have difficult decisions or difficult conversations. And that's what we're talking about here is just, you know that you need to do it and you just gotta, be comfortable and be willing and build that muscle of knowing that having difficult conversations in the short term is the best thing that you can do long term for sure.
Austin, what are some strategies that you use when you are facing a tough decision?
This is a great question. The first thing that comes to mind is very much just taking some time and letting something settle. We like to make fast decisions very often. We talk about speed a lot, but if you're making a really tough decision, sometimes the worst thing that you can do is make it instantaneously. So what we like to do is take out the honeymoon period where there's the emotions. So make the decision, take some time away from it. So maybe that's just going on a walk around the block. Maybe that's literally taking a week before you let somebody know of your decision. Maybe it's sleeping on it. Whatever that time period is where the emotions are away, then come back to it. And if you have the same belief and the same level of conviction as before, then it's the right decision. And the next thing that you can do is talk with a mentor about it and just have them ask you a couple questions. And as you're explaining it, you'll have a totally different realization than just playing around with it in your head. So if you're either writing out like what the facts are or you're explaining it to somebody else, they can tell which way you're leaning. You oftentimes don't want to believe which way you're leaning, but if you're talking about it with a mentor, it will come out what kind of the right decision is, and they'll be able to identify that. And those are two that I would go to today.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and hear from one of our show sponsors. When we come back, we'll talk to Austin about some of his favorites as it relates to his life as an entrepreneur.
Have you ever thought about investing in real estate, but find yourself so busy that you don't have time for it? Do you have FOMO, which is the fear of missing out? At HanfordCapital.com, we help investors with passive real estate investments that project better returns than traditional investment vehicles such as the stock market. If you'd like to find out more about our passive real estate investments, visit HanfordCapital.com. That's HANDFORD Capital.com. We will jump on a call with you to discuss your investment goals and to see if our investments are a good fit for you. This advertisement is not to be construed as an offer or recommendation to buy or sell a security. Visit HanfordCapital.com. And we are back with Austin Netzley, and we want to wrap this latter part of the episode with a series of quick questions and answers that we call the trifecta. And I want you to start us off by talking to us about your favorite technology that you use in business that helps make your life easier every day.
The first one that comes to mind is called Inbox When Ready. This is a Gmail plugin with a Chrome extension. I think it's $20-something a year or whatever, but it basically allows you to still send emails, search for emails, but you don't see all the emails that are in there. So they don't capture your eye, have you click on them and then go down this rabbit hole to totally get off track for what you went in there. So love that productivity tool. It's called Inbox When Ready.
That is awesome. I like that idea. I think somebody else may have told us about another one for another
Rebound one.
Email software. I can't remember.
Yeah, there's a Rebound one where you can it's called Boomerang, I think, or something like that.
Boomerang is great as well. Definitely a powerful tool there.
What's a favorite quote that you've heard that has helped you as an entrepreneur?
The first one that I think of is 20 years from now, you'll be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than the ones that you did. And what this inspires me to do is to think, first of all, think 20 years from now, what would I do? Because that's like a great tough decision kind of mechanism is to think 20 years from now, what would I wish I had done? But also it allows you to think a little bit more boldly, right? And act a little bit more boldly and take the actions that are necessary to create this amazing life down the line. That's something that inspires me a lot.
And what's a favorite book that you've read that's helped you make better decisions?
The first one that I'll say is a book called Simple Numbers. I'm butchering the name. It's like Simple Numbers, Straight Talk, Real Numbers or Real Profits, something like that. It's from Greg Crabtree. And the reason why I say that is because it's a financial and accounting book, basically how small businesses should think about their finances. And if you know your numbers inside and out, not only the KPIs, but your financials, that'll tell you most of the answers. So we try to make so many decisions ourselves in entrepreneurship when if we just look at the numbers, they'll tell us what to do. So that's actually an indirect strategy to help make better decisions is through the financials.
Well, Austin, what's the next thing for you right now on your vision or your dream board?
The next thing for us is we are just building out what we're doing. We've got some pretty insane results. We just did the math, and the clients that we've had in our program have made over $45 million this year, just alone in the past 10 months in our program. And we work with 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs. So it's adding up pretty awesomely. And what we're leading to is an even bigger and better offering where we're going to be much more hands-on, fly to different locations, and really help these businesses systemize and scale in a rapid way. That building out those teams and building out that infrastructure to be able to do that is really, really exciting me right now.
Well, how can the listeners reach out to you if they want to connect with you or follow you some more?
Definitely find me on social media. So it's Austin Netzley or Scale 2X. You can find us through one of those two. But definitely just get around us on social media. We give a ton of value because we've got a higher end service that the content, we don't protect that as much. You can see a lot of what we're doing. But we'd love to hear from you. Would love to chat with you on Facebook or Instagram or wherever is best for you. But Austin Netzley and 2X are our brands that you can find there.
Well, Austin, I really appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule to be with us here today. And I look forward to continuing to follow you and having you on a future episode as you continue to grow as an entrepreneur yourself.
Absolutely. Dan, Dennae, love what you guys are doing. Tough decisions and being able to have those conversations is absolutely crucial. So keep doing what you guys are doing. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Tough Decisions Network. Be sure to visit toughdecisions.net to gain access to show notes for this episode and to join our free weekly entrepreneur email where we will send you news about the latest technology for your business, inspiring quotes, and the latest books for entrepreneurs. That's toughdecisions.net.